Good evening, with apologies for the delay and much enthusiasm about this moment in this new building. The April 14th meeting of the Evanston City Council shall come to order. Would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Revelle?
Here.
Councilmember Reed?
Here.
Councilmember Hedakaris?
Here.
Councilmember Kelly?
Here.
Councilmember Harris?
Present.
Councilmember Nguyen? Here. Councilmember Newsma?
Here.
Councilmember Burns?
Here.
Councilmember Suburban?
Here.
Mayor Biss?
Here. Everyone is here in person, so we can forego the approval of virtual council member participation. I cannot imagine a more fitting way to begin City Council's activity in this chamber than how I would like to start my announcements this evening, which is by beginning our evening with item H1. Is there a motion relative to item H1?
Yes, sir. It's really with great honor that I move approval of resolution 32-R-25 for an honorary street name sign designation for former Mayor Elizabeth Tisdall.
Second.
Councilmember Revelle moves approval of resolution 32-R-25. Councilmember Harris, I believe, narrowly wins a tight race for the privilege of seconding the motion. And before we have any discussion, I know there's some folks here who had wanted to speak to this from the audience. And so if I'd ask you all to come forward one at a time and address this resolution first, and then we'll have some comments from up here as well before a vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I know that people were wondering how long it would take me to make my first mistake up here, and now we know. I have comments from Congresswoman Schakowsky, who unfortunately was unable to be with us this evening, but wanted to share her congratulations, Liz. She wrote me as follows. Liz Tisdall is a dear friend and was an excellent mayor of Evanston. I was proud to work with her on many initiatives she led to provide improvements to Evanston, including bringing Erie Family Health Center to Evanston to provide outstanding affordable health care to Evanston and Skokie, and creating much needed affordable housing. In addition to her great leadership, I also appreciate Liz's ability to bring humor into every situation. I'm so happy that Evanston will have an honorary street name sign for Liz, and I look forward to celebrating at its unveiling. Now, Mayor Lytle.
Thank you, council members and Mayor Biss. Before I start, I want to thank you, and I know I'm speaking, on behalf of the Rain Morton family and the Joan Barr family, and of course my family, for keeping our names on the Civic Center building here, the council chambers, and the library. So thank you very much for that. I'd like to go back 18 years to 2008, when I'm sitting with Liz talking about whether she should run for alderman or run for mayor. And she was, kind of positive, but a little apprehensive about it. And we talked. And she was, my reading was that she seemed very confident that she could do the job, but getting elected and going through all that stuff was going to be very difficult and unpleasant for her. So we talked about the various things. You have to have a campaign manager. You have to have, all these things. But the one that seemed to stick in her mind was that she hated the idea of having to ask people for money. And, I told her, I think she feels felt that she was a little shy. And to ask people for money is very difficult. But I told her that, when I ran, I'm not a shy person. I hated asking people for money. And I told her that basically the people that you're asking are so thankful that a qualified candidate like you is running in that they don't have to think about running for office. And that it's easier than you think to go and raise the money that you need. Now, I want to go into, you have a list of accomplishments in the resolution, and I think you probably all recognize that it's just the tip of the iceberg. So I want to just focus on one, and Jan talked about it. And I want to focus on Erie Family Health Center. I go back to right after it was started, and my wife Bonnie was on the board, and she would just come back euphoric after a meeting, telling me all the wonderful things that the Erie Health Center was doing for Evanston, and it gave me a very strong positive impression of it. So I thought, I have no interest in talking about all her accomplishments, but I thought I'd just focus quickly on this one. So I went over there today, and I tell you, I was extraordinarily impressed by what Liz brought to Evanston through her work lobbying Washington and bringing that to Evanston. It's an enormous accomplishment, Liz. Some of the, for those that aren't familiar, I mean, their activities go from prenatal to all the way up to seniors helping. And the thing that really impressed me was looking at the numbers. There's 16,000 of us that went to Erie in the last year. That's an amazing number to me. And of those 16,000, 2/3 of them were on Medicaid, and 22% of them had no insurance at all. So just think for a minute about what that would have done to our hospitals and to our emergency care facilities and to the city of Evanston. So we're very grateful on that, and the other, and 40% of the people that were served were kids. And what would those kids have done if they had a developmental problem, and the other kinds of problems that places like Erie can help people with? So we're very grateful for that particular contribution to Evanston. It's an enormous one. I'm going to conclude now by a story that most of you have heard before, and a little background on it. It's called The Cookie Story. And the cookie story started back when I was mayor, when I went to Northwestern to ask for money. I went and I pulled every plug I could. I told them I was an alum. I told them my daughter was an alum. I gave them 5 reasons why they should do it. I worked on that. I went every single year to Northwestern, and I failed. Following me, Joan Barr goes to Northwestern, and she fails. And then the indomitable Lorraine Morton goes to Northwestern, and she had even closer ties than I did. No money, no moss. And finally, the pastry chef mayor of Evanston goes with the plate of cookies. And what comes back? $5 million, and on top of that, a fire truck. So a very successful plate of cookies. And I know that every college town in the country, Liz, would like your recipe for those cookies. And I'm going to just, finish by saying that, I think I just had an idea. I think that Elizabeth Tisdall way, I don't think that's dramatic enough. I think maybe you should considering Elizabeth Tisdall Boulevard because of the width and the depth and the and the length of time that she spent not only in Evanston with the school board and the city, but with the U.S. Council of Mayors and her work on sustainability. So with that, I say thank you, and we're confident that you'll give her the vote. Thank you.
The next speaker is Margaret Lurie.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about my experience with Liz on the school board. She and I ran
think that mic is
at
on.
the same time. At the 202 for the 202 board, there were 10 candidates, and many of them incumbents, but there were only 4 seats. Liz and I won, and we knocked out all the incumbents. During our first year on the board, the teachers were very suspicious of us. They wondered what our motive was. They took a lot of time asking us, what is it we want? And we finally were able to calm them down, and they accepted us. But our most important achievement was the school-based health center, which sounds very much like the Erie Center, the Erie development. We have a school-based health center in the high school. It's a beautiful facility. That came care of the high school, but there are also 2 physicians, all from North Shore. There are 3 nurse practitioners, a social worker, a registered nurse, and a medical assistant. It's a partnership with the City of Evanston, Evanston Township High School, and North Shore University. And for several months, we had a lot of pushback, which Liz and I seemed to attract. People who felt that we shouldn't have a facility in the high school for health. And so over months and months, we had hearings and finally made some changes so that kids could not access reproductive care unless the parents signed a form. We made it so that the people who were opposed to us calmed down, accepted us, and we went forward. And now the facility operates every school day to make sure that no kids miss school because of their illness. Then after 8 years, Liz decided to run for mayor. And there she was equally successful, just as she had been when she was on the 202 board. So I really recommend highly that you name a street after her. And I think Jay was right. You should name a boulevard after her. So anyway, that's it. Thank you.
The next speaker is Nathan Norman.
Good evening, members of City Council, Honorable Mayor Biss, City Manager Luke Stowe. My name is Nathan Norman. I'm a lifelong Evanstonian, started out in the 5th Ward. I'm here tonight, and I'm honored to be here to support Liz Tisdall. Mayor Tisdall has left an indelible mark on the Evanston community. She's helped to cultivate individuals both personally and professionally during her tenure. Some of my fondest memories of Mayor Tisdall is not only how she scaled the Mayor Summer Youth and Employment Program and provided countless opportunities for young folks, and how we would walk, down these blocks in the summertime, and how you made an effort, an intentional effort to reach the community's most underserved and most vulnerable population to connect them to resources. And so, again, in the interest of time, I know we have a lot of folks that have a lot of great things to say, but I just really wanted to tell you that I admire you, Mayor Tisdall, as you already know. as we sneak to Herms monthly and have cheeseburgers together. But it has been the honor of my career to serve this community alongside such a special mayor like yourself. And I'm truly appreciative of the impact you've not only had on this community, but individuals like myself, again, both personally and professionally. Thank you so much, Liz Tisdall. Bye.
The next speaker is Kevin Brown.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mayor Biss, members of the City Council, and Luke Stowe, City Manager. I'm here tonight again with very deep respect and heartfelt conviction in strong support of the naming of this now boulevard instead of a street for former Mayor Elizabeth Tisdall. She is a leader whose legacy lives not only in city records and policy milestones, but in the lives she's touched across generations. You know, thousands of Evanston's young people have benefited from her vision. And under her leadership, as Mr. Norman said, the mayor's summer youth employment program expanded to national recognition, transforming job access into a pathway toward dignity, purpose, and opportunity. She built enduring partnerships with our schools, our nonprofit community, and businesses. And she created a citywide youth engagement strategy that continues to shape Evanston's young people today. But Mayor Tisdall's legacy isn't only institutional, it's deeply personal. She has always been a kind woman, generous in spirit, and above all, encouraging. She always encouraged me. Mayor Tisdall is not just a public servant, she is a friend. Her belief in others and in me and in the people of this city has been a quiet force for good in countless lives. She lifts people up, and that too deserves to be remembered. Her leadership also laid the foundation, as people have said already, for more equitable housing. She expanded entrepreneurial opportunities and forged a groundbreaking partnership with Northwestern University, directing meaningful resources towards workforce development and public safety. When she was mayor, she governed with compassion and vision, ensuring Evanston remained a place where all people, especially working families, could belong. So naming a boulevard in her honor is more than symbolic. It's a permanent affirmation that Evanston remembers not just the policies, but the person behind the policies. It tells future generations and our children that here walks someone who believed in us, who invested in us, and who helped shape the soul of Evanston. Thank you so much for your service and for the work that you do and for moving this initiative forward. Thank you.
The next speaker is Mr. Bob Reese.
Oh, wow. This is an awesome opportunity for, and again, for those that do not know me, I'm Bob Reese, and I grew up in Evanston. attended Dewey, Nichols, and Evanston Township High School. And I just would like to say that I have had the opportunity to talk to the city council and the street naming of Bow Price, Hecky, Powell, Dolores Holmes, Juice, or we call him Donald Michelin, and others. But I've never taken that opportunity. But tonight, I would like to say that in honor of, what's the name? Liz Tisdall. I delighted to support her in the naming of a street in her honor. And I won't go on and on and on. You've heard the stories and why she should be, a street should be named in her honor. But I strongly endorse the naming of a street in honor of Mayor Liz Tisdall. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Biss, for allowing me the opportunity, and again, I wasn't on the program, but thank you.
You weren't supposed to let on. Councilmember Revelle.
Well, I would just like to follow up. There's been some wonderful, eloquent, emotionally satisfying comments from the members of the public in honor of former Mayor Elizabeth Tisdall. I would like to just touch on one area that hasn't been mentioned. We've heard about her strong leadership on a number of important issues, but I'd like to highlight one more that was always a priority for hers, and it's a priority for me as well, and that's her commitment to sustainability. It was under her watch that Evanston achieved the ambitious emissions reduction goals that we set in our first 2 climate action plans, and paving the way for even more ambitious goals in our current climate action and resilience plan. On her watch, Evanston became one of the first 2 cities in the country to receive a 4-star community rating, the top rating for national excellence in sustainability. Liz made sure that Evanston was an active participant in national and global sustainability work as well, for example, by signing on to the Global Compact of Mayors. She was tapped by the Obama White House to attend a U.S.-China Climate Smart Cities Summit in Beijing in 2016. And then, basically as kind of a foreshadowing of where we are today, later that year in 2016, she joined more than 60 other U.S. mayors in an open letter to incoming President Trump, urging him to embrace the Paris Climate Agreement. Sadly, that did not happen. And she later spoke out in support of the federal agencies that work to ensure that we have clean air to breathe, clean water to drink, and the hope of a future free from the harshest consequences of climate change. It sets an example that we all should follow today. The country needs us, and Liz's example more than ever.
Councilmember Wynn, followed by Reed and then Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had the high honor of serving with Liz the entire time that she served as an alderman and the entire time that she served as a mayor. And I would like to add one more story to her remarkable achievements. After the housing crisis and the Great Recession, we were facing a bankruptcy crisis here in Evanston. And it was through Liz's personal advocacy that Evanston received the Neighborhood Stabilization Grant, which sounds like bureaucracy, but it stabilized 100 affordable housing units here in Evanston. It was a $20 million grant. We were the smallest city in the United States to receive a grant, and we put that money to work. And it was through Liz's personal advocacy that we received that grant. And those 100 houses continue to be lived in all over our city. It was a remarkable feat on her part, and it's something that is truly part of her legacy, and I wanted to highlight that today. Liz, it was an honor to serve with you, and I agree, it should be a boulevard, it should be a highway. So thank you very much.
Councilmember Reed, followed by Harris.
Thank you. I did not have the honor of serving with Mayor Tisdall. I came in right after your term was up, but I did have the honor of being a resident of Evanston during your tenure and being able to sit in council meetings and just watch the council work and watch Mayor Tisdall work. And I remember it may have been, I don't know if it was when I was thinking about running for office or just being a nerdy teenager, but looking up Mayor Tisdall at the time and reading about, I believe you were on the Orrington PTA. Is that correct? Or PTA, one of our King Lab. Okay, I went to Orrington, so maybe I mixed up there. But I remember reading, about this woman who had been on the PTA and then school board and then 7th Ward alderman and then mayor, and I thought, that's the way it should be done. You take these small steps of escalating responsibility and commitment to our community, and you take it all the way to the top of what you can do here in Evanston, which is serving as the mayor here. And it was really inspiring. I didn't follow that route. I didn't go to the PTA, but it was truly inspiring to me to see someone who had put in so much time in our community, working their way up to serve our community. And during my time sitting on the dais, both as city clerk and as now a council member, I've been able to see the lasting impact. We heard plenty of the stories today from NSP2 to Erie to others. And it's just beautiful that Evanston was able to have someone like yourself serving as our mayor during the time that you did. And I do want to acknowledge that we took. I also want to acknowledge that sometimes when you look at the service of an elected official, you look back 20 years in the past, and there's some things that can make folks cringe. But because times change. But with your service, as was highlighted by Councilmember Revelle, it holds up to the test of time. And I think that's something to really be proud of. And I'll just close here that we started late. We took a while to get here. And so I think we're all sorry to keep you waiting. But I think as we noted that if there's anyone who can understand the delays of a council meeting, I think it is you. And so we thank you for your patience and we thank you for your service. Thank you.
Councilmember Harris.
So I will be brief, but I think I get to say I knew her longest as a parent. So as she said next to Kathy, we went to King Lab together, and she was a great mom, which only proved to be a great PTA, a great ETHS, a great alderperson, and a great mayor, because it was from her core. It wasn't something she had to practice. It was who she was and what she did for her daughter and son-in-law now, right? Sometimes people have to work at it, as humans do. We make mistakes and we have to work at it. But she was a living testimony of, if you're just true and honest and lead with your heart doing the right thing, it will work out. And I just want to say thank you for that. My mom was disappointed. She was going to come speak this evening, the great Denise Martin, right, who I try to live up to every day. But she had Dreams Delivered, which was a community service project, so she couldn't be here. But she spoke of remembering you from the King Lab PTA days. And at ETHS, though she wasn't an administrator, she had great faith in the work that you did while you were on the board, because she was still a teacher at that time. So I just want to say thank you for being who you really are, not pretending, not just being a great person. And hopefully that rubs off on a bunch of us. Hopefully we will pay attention to the legacy that you are leaving us. And as everybody has mentioned, the street is not enough, but is what we have to offer today. And we'll figure out something else, maybe the moon or something later. But to say thank you so much for your service. And I don't think it was service. I just think, again, you were being you. So it wasn't anything you had to work at. So thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Got one more person wants to talk. That's me. I am really happy that we're doing this tonight. I want to thank the group that put this together. I want to say thank you to Nikki Pearson and Mary Gavin for helping to organize this. One thing that we haven't heard much about tonight is, in a world of bombastic politicians, Liz is humble to a fault. And so we're doing this belatedly. We're honoring Liz less than she deserves, later than we should have. And I'm glad that we're taking the opportunity to do this now, not only for you and Kathy and Pat and your family and friends, but for us to remind ourselves of how incredibly illustrative your legacy is for the work that we're doing now. We've heard a lot about the creation of the Youth and Young Adult Division and the outreach work that you're so proud of. I mean, that has been a blueprint for us during this council. We've heard a lot about your dedication to sustainability and the environment. And I can tell you personally, when I went to Liz and said, I'm thinking about running for mayor, she just said, don't forget about the environment. Don't forget about the environment. And I think that's such an important lesson for this council. I remember, I was Liz's campaign manager in 2009. She won this big victory, and everyone asked me what my secret was, and I had two great strategies. The first was have a candidate who everybody knows, and the second was make sure everybody likes her, and those strategies worked really, really well. But I remember going to so many coffees with you in that campaign, and you kept saying, what I love about this community is its socioeconomic diversity, and as mayor, I want to work to preserve that, and you did, and we owe you so much of a debt for that. And I think it's just an important thing for us to remember every day and to do our best to live up to. So I just want to say thank you personally for your friendship and for your example and for your leadership and for your reminder about what matters in this world and for what matters in this town and for your kindness. And I'll end where Jan began, or I guess where Jan ended, for your sense of humor, for bringing lightness and joy and laughter to easy times and hard times alike. I love you, Liz, and I just can't thank you enough for what you've done for this town. With that, would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Revelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Reed?
Aye.
Councilmember Hedakaris?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly? Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Wynn?
Aye.
Councilmember Newsma?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
Councilmember Suffredin?
Aye.
With 9 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries. Resolution 32-R-25 is passed, and the boulevard shall be named. They haven't done the comments yet. Oh, maybe we didn't do J. You said that. I asked Mayor Tisdall if she wanted to say anything, and she said, well, I already said thank you.
I don't want to make you stay here later and later tonight. Good night.
Continuing in my announcements and proclamations, we have an Arbor Day 2025 proclamation. Whereas trees are a resource that improve the quality of life of community members, help mitigate against some of the impacts of climate change, improve air quality, and help to reduce energy consumption. And whereas trees are a critical part of this ecosystem that provide habitat for wildlife and other plants. And whereas working together towards a healthier urban forest that contributes to our resilience is a benefit to all people in the city, the region, and beyond. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska and is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas Arbor Day is celebrated in Illinois on the last Friday of April. And whereas Evanston has been a Tree City USA since 1985 and has only increased its commitment to trees and other green infrastructure, now therefore I do hereby proclaim the last Friday of April 2025 as Arbor Day in the city of Evanston and urge all community members to support efforts to protect our trees, to support our city's urban forestry program, to participate in activities related to Arbor Day, and plant trees to promote the well-being of present and future generations. And as I understand it, no one is here to accept this, but we'll keep it on file for those who advocated for this proclamation. Thanks to all of you. And then also, again, I believe no one is here to accept this, but we do have a certificate of acknowledgement of women's lacrosse and in support of all women athletes, as well as Northwestern's Big Ten champion women's lacrosse team, and declare April 17th as Women's Lacrosse Day in Evanston. Congratulations to all who celebrate. That concludes my announcements. The next item on the agenda is the city manager's public announcements.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and clerk. I have several announcements this evening, so I'll move through this pretty quickly. First, I want to clarify that the newly elected city council will be sworn in on April 28th, not May 12th. We anticipate the swearing in will occur at approximately 7 p.m. that evening. April 28th is also the date the new ward map will take effect. Congratulations to all of our newly elected officials. Next up, I'd like to offer congratulations to our very own police chief. Shanita has been awarded Chief of the Year by the Illinois Association Chiefs of Police. She is the first woman ever to receive this award. Councilmember Harris has asked us to play a short video of the chief being honored by Commissioner Marita last week at the Cook County Board meeting.
Born and raised, she served in the Lincolnwood Police Department for 21 years as the only Black police officer in the 13th District. In October 2022, she was sworn in as Evanston's first and only Black woman police chief. And this last weekend, we just marked 2 years of no murders in the city of Evanston. And that is because of her leadership of building with community, building with officers. And she was just this year named Illinois' Police Chief of the Year, the first woman ever in Illinois to get that honor. And so with that, Chief Stewart, do you want to say something?
Thank you. Act like you with me. Come over here. You don't know me all of a sudden. Hi, Chief Shedia Stewart of the Evanston Police Department. I want to just say, first of all, thank you for the recognition. I want to receive this honor on behalf of my best friend, Detective Alan Reddens. We lost in Oak Park on November 29th, 2024. Thank you, Jacina. You are my favorite Cook County Commissioner. Or I usually say you're my only one, but that's fine. I am. Thank you to the best city manager or supervisor anybody could ask for, Luke Stowe, city staff, EPD staff, and within the city of Evanston and Cook County. I just want to say thank you for the recognition.
So unfortunately, the chief is away at a conference, so we're going to honor her again at a future meeting. As I mentioned, I wanted to highlight that it has now been 2 full years without a homicide in Evanston. You have to go all the way back to the 1970s to find one calendar year where there was not a murder. This outcome exemplifies our collaboration between EPD, Youth and Young Adult Team, Care Team, and many other city teams. Congratulations, Chief.
Councilmember Harris.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I took the privilege of wanting the video to be shown. We get things right. And this was one of those things that we got right. We hired homegrown, somebody who cares, who is invested, who's a little bossy. You saw that on there, snatching the city manager. Very direct. I was like, oh, Chief, you're doing a good job. Can I be a police officer? She's like, no, you won't pass the psych eval. Probably wouldn't. But she's great. And her team is great. And I just want to commend her, but also the team. I think she works really well with them. They work really well with her. And they want Evanston to be the best that it can be. And we see that in their interactions with us being residents of the city. So, and they recognize that in her leadership. So I just want to say thank you. And I'm a study for the psych eval so I could pass. Thank you.
Councilmember Reed.
Thank you. I may need to actually study for that evaluation because I'm looking for a new career after next week. But I wanted to take this opportunity, because I may not have another, to just really, first I want to note what I think I saw in that video with Chief Stewart, pulling Manager Stowe forward. It wasn't bossiness, from my opinion. It was humbleness. And I think Chief Stewart is one of the most just humble people that I've ever met, one of the most down-to-earth people, particularly police officer that I've ever met. And we're great. I think we should, if we're not already, as an entire community grateful to have her, I think we certainly need to recognize that. And I also want to just recognize Manager Stowe for, ultimately, this was your decision to choose Chief Stewart. And so I want to recognize you for making the right choice here. And we are so much better off for having chosen Chief Stewart, because I think Chief Stewart has found a way to truly walk the tightrope that is being a police chief in 2025, in the post 2020 era, really post, let's say, maybe even 2011, post the young man that was killed down in Florida. But she's found a way to walk that tightrope and both let the officers that work under her clearly, from what I've observed, clearly know that they are supported and that they can do their job, while also giving faith to the community that the officers are going to be doing their job and nothing more and nothing less. And it's such a difficult thing to navigate, and I don't think that there are too many people that can. And so we are just so fortunate to have Chief Stewart. I'm really excited. I hope we keep her for a long, long time, and I hope that we train other our officers within our department to emulate that. And I want to keep them too, but as they move on and maybe become chiefs themselves, that they take a little bit of Chief Stewart and Evanston with them. And so thank you, Chief Stewart. I don't know if I've had another police chief hug me and it'd be a warm embrace. And so I just really appreciate Chief Stewart and everything she's done for our community. And I want to note one last thing, how dedicated she is to keeping all of us in the community, but also all of us up here safe. I also don't think I've met anyone that was so dedicated to making sure that the council was protected. We've had some, we're kind of in scary times for elected officials, if you will. And Chief Stewart really made sure that all of us were safe, went above and beyond when things got a little scary here. And so I'll say thank you for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Harris. Thank you, Councilmember Reed. Appreciate your comments. Next up, on behalf of City of Evanston staff, I want to express our heartfelt gratitude to the professionals who did exceptional work renovating our new City Hall. I want to specifically thank Liz Tucker from Ware Malcolm for her hard work maximizing our space for over 200 employees at 909 Davis here. Her creativity and attention to detail made our current workspace wonderful. Liz's design was realized by the big construction team led by Andrew Vasquez, Madison Meredith, Caitlin Diaz, Dan the Man Krugler. They rose to meet our tight schedule and continue to ensure high standards and quality. Although Karina, our deputy city manager, couldn't be here tonight and played a critical role in all this, she especially thanks you all for being great partners and quickly addressing issues. Thank you to Lincoln Properties for supporting our needs during this move to this facility. We look forward to partnering with you to make this the best City Hall for Evanston residents. Last but not least, a big thank you to the City of Evanston teams for their hours of hard work and dedication to making this relocation a reality. Many departments and divisions, including admin services, public works, the clerk's office, and many others assisted with the move to Lorraine H. Morton City Hall. Everyone's hard work and dedication are noted and appreciated. This move has taken many years to plan and get it right, for it was essential for staff and residents. It exemplifies what can be achieved when we work together towards a common goal. This new location is ADA accessible, centrally located in downtown Evanston, near major transportation options like Metro and CTA. It's also bus and bike friendly, making it easier for everyone to access city services. Thank you again. We're proud to have worked with Big Construction, Ware Malcolm, Lincoln Properties, and all the subcontractors. And lastly, I'd like to welcome up City Engineer Biggs to announce 2 awards that our Public Works Department has been honored with.
Thank you, City Manager. My name is Laura Biggs. I'm the City Engineer for Evanston. I wanted to present awards that we've won for 2 key projects today. Our first project is the Evanston Skate Park. This received a Project of the Year award for structures under $5 million at both our North Suburban branch and the Chicago Metro chapter of the American Public Works Association. Reasons cited were the community involvement at every level of the project, including Councilmember Garrick Harris's pre-city council career, the inclusion of sustainability features, and that the project provided a community building space where teenagers feel welcomed. The second project we have gotten awards for is for the Main Street Corridor Improvement, which received a Special Achievement Award from the Illinois chapter of the American Council of Engineering Companies. Reasons for this that were cited were focus on safety, ADA improvements, and the overall transformation of the business district. So although managed by staff in the Bureau of Capital Planning, these projects could not have been successful without the support of other city departments and divisions, including Public Works, Parks and Recreation, and Economic Development. Members of the Evanston business community were also important contributors. And of course, the support of our city council is also key in providing feedback during project design, as well as support for the funding. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. And Mayor, that concludes my remarks.
The next item on the agenda is communications from the city clerk.
Yeah, we received public comment from Gretchen Salgado in support of a plan for a community garden at 1222 Washington, and also support for the reappointment of George Hollick from Holly Pickering, Malika Gardner, Scott the Stoolmaker, Freddie Greenberg, Beth Horner, and Michael Lohr. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is public comment. We have, I believe, 22 or 23 folks who've signed up, so we'll have 2 minutes per person. We begin, as always, with those who signed up in person to speak in person, beginning with Chelsea Elward, who will be followed by Joe Cirillo, and then Heather Miller.
Hello. Just want to remind everyone. Oh, I'm Chelsea Elward. You guys all know me. Want to remind everyone, I told our Alderman Harry Carey that this property, 1222, should be a community garden over 2 years ago, but he said that the city would not spend $250,000 for a park. I've lived in this neighborhood for 35 years. I went to Oakton Elementary. I went to Nichols. I went to ETHS. I opened a bookstore, a community bookstore for children in Evanston. I want to live here forever. I want to live here for another 35 years if my cancer doesn't take me out. Juan, when we met last week on Wednesday, you said you weren't thinking about living here in 20 years, or you don't think you're going to be living here in 20 years. And that was our last face-to-face conversation. I don't understand why you're making this your initiative. It's like your way or the highway. And I'm not trying to single you out, but it's time because I have to, right? This is the last meeting. I love this community. I put all of my savings into Booked, to the bookstore I had to sell because I got cancer. And then when I got cancer, I was on my porch for 2.5 years watching kids from the Rice Center walk down. I'm not going to talk badly about them because they're well loved, but they need you guys to vote for them. I've been advocating since 2018 for them. I live on this block. I live across the street. Biss, you were just saying, don't forget about the environment. There are how many trees on this? Like, my father-in-law is an arborist from Minneapolis. It's a legit green space, and it should stay that way. Don't cut down the trees. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? It doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not trying to make drama, but come on. Come on. Like, I don't understand. There are not a lot of us that live on this block because there are all these institutions on the block. So all of the neighbors today came, or they're online. They've been patiently waiting, and they're all going to speak. We're all here. We're all asking, come on. These kids need us. We will be there for them, but you have to give us that opportunity. So can you please vote for us? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Growing pains. It looks like the beeping system doesn't work here yet at the new facility, so I'll give folks a 15-second warning and then announce when time is up. The next speaker is Joe Cirillo, who will be followed by Heather Miller and then Agnes Doyle.
Hi, good evening. Sorry, a little too close to the mic. Welcome to your new home. Hello, my name is Joe Cirillo, and I'm a resident of Washington Street. In previous meetings, we have outlined several reasons why this property isn't good to put any home. We already have too much cover of buildings, asphalt, and concrete. We also have stormwater drainage issues. What we do know is that this property would be perfect native pollinating garden for use by the community. This would be a place where everyone, including kids at the Lydia Center, T65 School, John Pope School, and St. Nicholas, could learn and grow. It also gives our street a chance to be neighbors with the kids that live at the Lydia Center and support the counselors who work there. Here is a handwritten letter from Mr. Irvine. Sarah Flax and Alderman Harry Karras had a chance to meet Mr. Irvine and hear from him firsthand. This is from Mr. Irvine. The lot on Washington would greatly serve the students of the Lydia Center. It can serve as a safe space off campus. Sensory and movement breaks help our students cope with their emotions and trauma. Some of our most effective interventions are walks to Ashbury and back and sitting on the park bench outside smelling the fresh air. The students will greatly appreciate it, so will I as a staff member. Most of our students are wards of the state, so they do not live in the community. This lot serves as an opportunity for our students to gain more social skills. Again, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Heather Miller, who will be followed by Agnes Doyle and then Lucy Doyle.
Hello. My name is Heather Miller, and I've been a resident on the block for 17 years. I'm also a realtor, and I know that this lot sat vacant for 2 years, as no buyer was interested in any of that land to develop. Wasn't worth it. The residents on our block truly believe that this property is much better suited to serve as a community space to use for educational purposes, relaxation, and natural conservation. I'm going to read 2 letters that have been emailed to us from the institutions on our block, acknowledging that it would be a great and wonderful learning experience for over 200 kids that either live on our block or are on our block. This is from Director of Faith Formation at St. Nicholas. Hello, I think this sounds like a good idea. As the Director of Faith Formation, and Alyssa Garcia from Rice Center is one of our teachers on Sunday mornings, I'd be thrilled to involve our students in any way that could work for service hours. Perhaps one of our Care for Creation members will respond to this. I'll have more time and would love to talk to you after Easter Sunday. Give me a call then. So, very interested and intrigued by this idea. And the other letter is from a middle school teacher at District 65 Rice Center. Good morning. Thank you for thinking of Rice. I would have liked to have had the students write letters in support of your community efforts to create a pollinating park. I want to give them to you to present to the City Council. I have asked permission from my superiors and have yet to hear back. I would love to help your efforts. This would be a perfect addition to this beautiful neighborhood. I am a middle school science teacher and know the importance of pollination parks are, and have one so close to our school would be lovely. This could have served as a valuable learning opportunity. If things change and I receive permission to have the students participate, I will absolutely let you know. Thank you again for your thoughtfulness. It's appreciated. I wish you luck and a positive outcome for this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Agnes Doyle, who will be followed by Lucy Doyle and then Beth Cerny.
I have some things I just want to pass out real quick before I start. Hi there, my name's Agnes Doyle. My sister and I grew up next door to the Lydia Center, and I lived there until I was 30 years old. My folks are not here, they couldn't be here today, but I wanted to read a letter from one of my friends who grew up in the Lydia Center. So this is actually from her. Her name is Gretchen. So it says, Dear City Council and neighbors, hi, my name is Gretchen Ferlin. I lived at the Lydia Center from the age of 5 to 14. It's a group home and school for kids with disabilities and in the foster care system, children like me who didn't have a steady family to go home to. I'm here today to ask you to support the plan for a community garden at the lot 1222 Washington Street. I truly believe it could make a big difference for the kids who live there now. When I was growing up at the center, we did gardening projects from time to time. They even took us to help nurse at nursing homes. I remember how good it felt to be outside using our hands and doing something positive. That kind of thing stays with you. And I know kids today would love to do that too, especially during school breaks when there's not much time to do other things. Having something so close by, something they don't have to travel to, could be life-changing. But this isn't just about gardening, it's about connection. when I lived there, I used to climb the fence to play with the girl who lived next door, Lucy. Her parents, Tom and Diane, never turned me away. They welcomed me. Over time, I became close with their family. They stuck by me through really hard times. The family became my family. That was my community. That was a community. That's what a community garden could do for kids today. Create that time, to create the same kind of connection and chance to meet people, to feel seen and cared for, even a chance for a neighbor to think, maybe I could foster one of these kids. Some of the staff at the center also. Okay, thank you.
The next speaker is Lucy Doyle, who will be followed by Beth Cerny, and then Amy Resnick.
Hi, I'm Lucy. I grew up next door to the Rice Center, now called Lydia Home. One of my childhood best friends grew up in the Rice Center, and my sister just read her letter. Me and Gretchen played every day if we could. The challenge was supervised time was pretty limited, and we weren't allowed to play as often as we wanted to. What was our solution? A lot of sneaking. She would sneak through the fence and hang out in our backyard, and I would sneak over and spend as much of the day as I could at the Rice Center until the counselors told me to get out, or my mom were like, "Where are you?" So I would be there as much as I could. It hurts my heart, both then and now, that so much sneaking was required for our friendship to exist. As a kid, it felt like there was a huge divide between the people who own property on the block and the children growing up in the Rice Center. And over the years, this divide has increased. The fence has gotten higher and the distance seems more imposing. This is all to keep the kids safe, but the price seems to be a potentially greater emotional and social distance between the residents on the block and the residents at the center. This distance makes it harder for friendships like mine and Gretchen's to blossom. I believe that having a community garden at the lot on the corner where that affordable housing house was proposed has the potential to bridge that distance. And create a supervised and safe setting for genuine friendships between Evanston residents and residents of the Lydia home to form. Already, I see my neighbors unified and ready to put the work into a degree that I have never witnessed before. Right now, the people who live on the block have the excitement and passion to actually create something beautiful there. And if we put up a home instead, we may shut down that collective passion and lose a rare opportunity to use that unified vision toward having a more integrated and supportive block and community.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Beth Cerny, who will be followed by Amy Resnick, and then Olin Wilson-Thomas.
I have some things to pass out. Should everybody, if we could get those in everyone's hands before we start.
Could you please begin?
Yep. Did everyone get their package? Okay, so good evening, City Council members. As you know, maybe by now, my name is Beth Cerny, and I live on Washington Street. I'm asking tonight to put a hold on the motion to take a vote. This is the ETHS house that was recently, the last one that was installed on September 9th. 6 months later, it is still in the same state as it was the day it was installed. That's 6 months with an open fence, no more siding on it. The inside hasn't even been started. So we are here again tonight to ask you to listen to residents of the street and hear what we are saying. On top of living on this block day in and day out, our block is made up of working professionals and many who work in fields that make them experts on why our ask is much better than for our community. Just like you know your block better than us, we know our block better than anyone. We are asking for you to wait to make this decision until the Envision Evanston 2045 plan is in place. The property has always been an open land and has been here untouched since the start of Evanston before. Once EE 2045 is in place, we'd like to have this reviewed by the Urban Design Committee. We are already on a block that lacks a tree canopy, and ETHS does not have to follow Evanston's tree ordinance. Alderman Harry Carey provided details on the house placement, and this placement is going to need most of the trees removed. Please wait until an objective committee can weigh in. As of March 30th, 2025, the ETHS home looks exactly like it did the day it was installed on September 9th, 2024, more than 6 months ago. There is no rush to push a vote through. Also, we spoke to Ingrid Eckersberg from Stormwater Management on Friday, and she had no idea this property was slated for a single family. She said there needs to be a soil test and drainage report. Shouldn't this be done prior to the city selling the land? Additionally, Harry Carey and Sarah saw firsthand our stormwater and sewer drainage issues on our block, and it's not normal.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Amy Resnick, who will be followed by Olin Wilson-Thomas and then Ray Friedman.
Heracautus.
Perfect. Hi, Council. Thank you so much for hearing me today. My name is Amy Resnick. I live in Ward 1, and I am a 20-year-old senior at Northwestern studying social policy. I apologize for my voice. I have just like a little bit of laryngitis, so bear with me. But I'm here today to comment on H2, which will help add height, weight, and personal appearance to the list of protected classes in Evanston and protect against those traits being discriminated upon when it comes to public accommodations and hiring in the city. I just want to say I'm really excited to see this coming forward before council tonight. This has been in the process with several of council members and the mayor for almost like 2.5 years now, which feels like a long time. And I'm just really optimistic to see Evanston joining the long list of cities and even states and countries who are starting to address weight-based discrimination and how pervasive and dangerous it is for our culture and for our cities to continue, not condemning. So I thank you guys for taking action on this issue.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Olin Wilson-Thomas, who will be followed by Ray Friedman and then Linda Damashek.
Good evening. My name is Olin Wilson-Thomas, and I'm a 9th Ward resident. I'd first like to say how much safer and much more pleasant it is to bike to this new City Hall location, so thank you. But my main concern tonight is the proposed affordable housing development on 1222 Washington. The proposal for this site is the result of months of hard work by my peers at ETHS, many of whom couldn't attend tonight but tell me how much they enjoy the class, especially because they know that the products of their labor will result in more affordable housing in their community. The Geometry and Construction program has produced many success stories of quality, affordable housing that is made by, for, and in Evanston. But tonight, this program and its mission are in jeopardy. As heard at various city meetings, this house will purportedly bring increased police calls, increased parking congestion, and the degradation of neighborhood character. The way this project has been described, you'd think Councilmember Heracautus was proposing to put in a crack house. This is scary. It's scary that we're demonizing an affordable development that, on paper, meets all the typical demands made of affordable housing. It will be built on the land trust, meaning it will be affordable in perpetuity. It's a low-density home, not some tall apartment building. And it's going on an unproductive space in the middle of a nice neighborhood. We've heard a lot tonight about the wonderful relationships that can occur when people from different backgrounds and experiences come together. This affordable housing proposal will continue to make that possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Ray Friedman, who will be followed by Linda Damashek and then Mary Rosinski.
Good evening, everyone. Ray Friedman, 2nd Ward. Number one, I'd like to say congratulations to Mayor Tisdall on your long career and all the successes you've had as mayor of Evanston. Number two, congratulations, Chief Stewart, on your well-deserved award as Chief of Police here in Evanston. Number three, getting off the subject, but I don't understand why you're removing George Halleck from the LUC. He's the best candidate for Land Use Committee and working for free. We need George Halleck on this committee. Change subject again. Once again, I'm requesting for all council members to respond to all public comments. And I'm wondering on A17, 18, 19, why are we having this special assessment for $1.65 million in general obligation bonds? I don't know what that's for. So my public comment is, it was very difficult for me to put together an appropriate public comment for our first council meeting at your new location. It's not our location, it's your new location. With all the agenda items we need to discuss this evening, your first discussion should be with your residents on how and why we're here at 909 Davis without discussion, data, and referendum to spend our tax dollars on a new city hall without the majority of Evanston taxpayer approval. We here in Evanston have many owned buildings. This is not one of them. And not easy to get to, with no parking available here at this building, even though there's a garage.
15 seconds.
Think about your elderly. This is not rocket science here. Bring an issue to your taxpayer residents, have the discussion, gather all input, and then let's have a vote, or in this case, a referendum. Moving to 2100 Ridge to 909 Davis with a closed-door vote in violation of the Open Meetings Act is immoral. Why would you do this to your taxpayers?
Thank you very much.
What happened to transparency and accountability we keep hearing about? 2 more sentences, please. This is a deliberate act to keep residents out of the discussions and out of the decision-making process.
Thank you very much.
What is the penalty for your violating the Open Meetings Act? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Linda Damashek, who will be followed by Mary Rosinski and then Philip Castillo.
Good evening, Linda Damashek. I'm here to let council members know about the serious concerns that I have regarding the process of the Land Use Commission and the drafting of the comprehensive plan. 2 reminders. 1, basic government point. Evanston's legal structure is designed for a strong city manager and a weak mayor, and that's for good government. Number 2, Land Use Commission process point. The Land Use Commission Chair, Jean Lindwall, with professional experience in drafting comprehensive plans, explained to the Commission that drafting the comprehensive plan is a bottom-up process of residents to identify a community consensus for the community's future. Unfortunately, Evanston already has experienced some major flaws to achieving this proper process. 1, there's absolutely no data available for all of the public meetings before they drafted the report. There were neighborhood meetings, ward meetings, subject-based meetings, no information. All we know is the number of meetings and when they happened. Everybody put on dots and voted for things, and there's no data about that in the document, and it needs to be added. 2, Land Use Commission public comment, any of it which is in disagreement with the top-down administration goals are not reflected in the second draft of the comprehensive plan. It's like no one showed up. No one said anything. This is totally, totally unacceptable for any community, but especially for our community, which prides itself on being a progressive community. If you're a truly democratic and progressive community, you do not try to pressure a predetermined top-down outcome to what is, by definition, supposed to be a bottom-up process to create a community comprehensive plan. Number 2, you don't dismiss and ignore what a large part of the community says by not reflecting that public input in your official documents. Number 3.
Thank you very much.
You don't refuse to reappoint an experienced and effective land use commissioner. If you are a truly democratic and progressive community, you do gather realistic, relevant data for problem solving. incorporate what all the public input says into
Thank you
the
very
draft
much.
and final document. And my last point, you assist in coming to a productive consensus.
Thank you very much. Just want to remind folks, I know that it's hard without the benefit of the constant beeping, but I'd like to ask folks to make an effort to be within the time because it's important that everyone be given the same opportunity. And some have chosen to follow the rules, and so I'm going to make sure that I enforce the rules for all. The next speaker is Mary Rosinski, who will be followed by Philip Castillo.
Hi, thank you, and welcome to your new house. And I want to just emphasize that what Linda Damashek just said is 100%. And I can tell you there are thousands of people out in the community right now who have the same sentiment. We want the data. We want people in the community participating and writing with this draft and not have it pushed down on top of us for us to have to do it. Mayor Biss, I find that you have an opportunity to unite the city, and yet the first thing in the first week is you're eliminating someone who on the land use committee who's so developed, who's so qualified. And this is the second time in a year you've declined to appoint a highly qualified commissioner. And both of them happen to vote no on the Ryan Field project. So it seems like, when you were supporting a vote, and if people disagree with you, it's a little bit intimidating because next time around, probably even though you want to serve, you will not be appointed under you. Appointments to commissions should be based on qualifications, demonstration to public good, not on political alignment. Mr. Halleck served with distinction, and I know you're not going to reconsider, but I just think that it's unfortunate that you could have united people together with this. He was the only one going back to 2021, and I went over every land commission. He was always the one who said, can we get an update? What about this question? He cared more than anything, and he is so qualified, and I just think you're doing a disservice to every resident in Evanston by taking him off the Land Use Commission. This whole process was compromised in 2022, and I'm still looking for an answer as to who authorized staff to stop the hiring of Tasca.
15 seconds.
15 seconds. Okay. Then I'll just skip right to the end and say, this business of overdeveloping and newly constructed homes are going to create housing affordability. It's just a lie. Every realtor who knows what they're doing, every developer who knows what they're doing, they'll tell you the cheapest new construction townhouse house anywhere in Evanston, $700. But we still have houses that are $375,000 that will be bought. And
thank you very much.
Okay.
The next speaker is Philip Castillo.
Good evening. I am here to speak against Special Assessment 1534, known as the alley north of Lincoln, east of Hartree. I'm Philip Castillo. My wife and I have lived at 2505 Hartree, which is at the west end of the alley, for over 30 years. Last year, a woman came around asking us to sign a petition, which we declined, saying that the alley cost would be about $3,600 per family. There's no question the alley's in sad shape, and I feel for my neighbors who live in the middle of the alley. However, this is due largely to the fact that the city has no vehicle to force contractors who destroy the alleys, building the houses, to replace or repair the alleys or contribute to a fund, much like the city of Chicago does. This is specifically the case for 3 houses that were built in the last 2 years. I look at this alley as the city's infrastructure. It is not, I don't look at it as part of the 50-50 program for the sidewalks. I have a choice. I don't have to participate in having the sidewalk repaired. Here I am being told I have to participate in this alley being repaired at a cost of over $7,000, and most of my neighbors over $9,000. The city, we received a notice of a public hearing where this would cost, alley cost would be about $660,000. And when I asked at the public hearing, what is the maximum? They said, well, it's $660,000 and the city will absorb anything over. But we have never seen anything in writing about this. The other part of it is, so You know, I have a big problem. I'm an architect. I know how much things cost, and there's
15
no
seconds.
way that things have cost more than doubled or tripled in less than a year. I wrote about my concerns to Alderman Revelle, and she answered every one of them except this one, which is 2 families have stated at the public hearing that they will have to move, and they've lived there for over 50 years because they can't afford to participate in this program. You owe us infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This concludes the list of people who signed up in person to speak in person. So we now move to those who signed up online to speak in person, beginning with Jennifer Washburn, followed by Robert Keating, and then Michael Iben.
Jenny Washburn, First Ward. I'm going to be fast. I have a lot to say. According to Evanston Now, BIS wrote Friday that the decision between keeping Halleck on the board and picking a new member was simplified when a group representing a majority of council asked me not to reappoint George, effectively communicating that Halleck's reappointment would fail to pass. I want to know who that group was. I want to know whose voice in that group was more important than the opinions of the over 500 residents who signed a petition supporting George's reappointment. Could that group garner 500 signatures opposing Halleck's nomination? I very much respect our outgoing council members, but shouldn't the new council be weighing in on this appointment? Biss, you also made it sound like you spoke to council members about this decision when in fact you were counseled on what to do by a group that represents council members. This is a gross attempt to obfuscate. Council, did Biss seek your opinion when making this decision? Or is he speaking for you through this group he claims represents you? What kind of credible mayor pulls a qualified, experienced, and integral commissioner from his seat in the middle of this incredibly important work on the most consequential planning process in Evanston in decades? Continuity is crucial. Removing Halleck now is like swapping out a juror mid-trial. It's disruptive, unnecessary, and suggests an attempt to reshape the commission to control the outcome. This looks less like governance and more like political maneuvering. Clearing out dissenting voices and replacing them with allies who will deliver results is a dangerous tactic we're seeing play out nationally. Evanston should not follow that playbook. Lastly, I would like to know who vetted Kat Vellemel for this position. Apologize if I misspoke her name. I was horrified to see a tweet.
15 seconds.
I was horrified to see a tweet from her about an LUC meeting on January 8th where she wrote, "If you'd like to drill a hole in your brain, please enjoy the public comment from the City of Evanston's Land Use Commission meeting." And okay, I'm feeling a little bit better with the handful of fantastic comments from Evanston residents with a background in planning and fair housing. This tells you all you need to know about Kat and how she values resident opinions if they don't have planning or fair housing in their resumes. This is not someone who's qualified to sit on the commission.
Thank you very much.
All right. All I ask is that you go ahead and reappoint Halleck back to the LUC without delay.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Robert Keating, who will be followed by Michael Iben and then John Story Williamson.
Thank you. Robert Keating, 9th Ward. I've been really disappointed in the discourse around the geometry and construction house for Washington. I've heard that it won't fit with the community's character. It'll reduce neighbors' $725,000 property values. It'll impact traffic and parking, and that it won't be well designed because it's by ETHS students. These charges have not been accurate nor constructive. What we're talking about is a modest single-family home built as part of a beloved, decades-long educational program teaching valuable math and trade skills to our high schoolers. The home will fill a vacant lot and use a land trust to keep it affordable in perpetuity. This is a win-win on so many levels. If some residents really wanted the land to stay empty, they could have purchased it and done that themselves. Instead, it sat on the market until the city bought it and is now going to put it towards a most productive use and has gotten far along with the work of site control and planning to do just that. Compared to Evanston overall, the 9th Ward has the second most parks, but has the 4th least affordable housing units. We need units in all wards, not just the 2nd or the 5th, lest we continue to perpetuate inequality. I live 500 feet away from the lot. I've walked and biked past it for years at all hours, and I tell you this home won't impact traffic or parking, won't drop property values, won't be unsafe or built poorly or be a visual blight. And in terms of character, I think it will be a boon because we'll have a new family to welcome to the community which couldn't be there otherwise. And it is our diversity and our people that truly define Evanston's character. And the through line here is this, that individuals in our community are struggling with housing costs to keep a roof over their heads in this housing and inequality crisis. And that is who we need to center in these discussions, people that frankly can't come to these meetings and represent themselves. It's the exact reason why we need fresh and unique perspectives on the Land Use Commission, for example, with affordable housing experience. So I urge us to raise the level of discourse, to embrace change, to focus on those in dire need, and to talk about how to meet this moment and how to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Michael Iben, who will be followed by John Story Williamson and then Sue Lolbach. Is Michael Iben not here? Okay, in that case, we'll move ahead with John Story Williamson, who will be followed by Sue Lolbach and then Jeff Smith.
Good evening, council members. My name is John Story Williamson, and I reside at 864 Sheridan Road. If you'd like to drill a hole in your brain, please enjoy the public comment from the City of Evanston's Land Use Commission meeting. This is an quote from Kat Vielma, the mayor's appointee to replace George Halleck on the Land Use Commission. In justifying the decision, Mayor Biss said, "My decision was simplified when a group representing a majority of council asked me not to reappoint George." Who exactly is this group? Sitting council members, outside interests? Either way, the public deserves transparency. As I wrote to Mayor Biss and Alderman Nguyen on March 13th, I do not know Mr. Halleck, nor am I aware of his stance on Envision Evanston 2045. However, I have seen that he consistently raises the kinds of questions that many Evanstonians would ask. In contrast, many commission members remain largely silent. I also shared that as a homeowner, property manager, and broker, I am deeply concerned by the plan's bias toward high-density development and rental housing while homeownership is treated as an afterthought. I have yet to receive a response from Alderman Nguyen. Mayor Biss did reply, writing, "I'm sorry that you didn't feel your early input was properly taken into account." So how are residents supposed to feel heard when the mayor appoints an executive from a real estate investment firm specializing in the syndication of low-income housing tax credits and who has publicly advocated for eliminating single-family zoning, even though she has noted that public comment overwhelmingly opposes her position? Ms. Vielma regularly disparages those who disagree with her as, quote, boomers, NIMBYs, and friends on Sheridan Road. On Reddit, she even posted a citizen-created flyer that included the full name and contact details of a neighbor, prompting another resident to warn her to stop trolling her neighbors. This is not someone... All right, I will send...
The next speaker is Sue Lolbach, who will be followed by Jeff Smith.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to your new space here. I just wanted to say very briefly, I'm very much in support of the geometry and construction site. I am really excited that over the last, since I guess 2014, that program has created 10 units of affordable housing. Who would have thought? It's pretty amazing. I'm not going to get into the details. I think Rob Ketting did a great job of summarizing why this is such a great project. I also want to say how pleased I am that we're starting to see actual production of housing, affordable housing, through the inclusionary housing ordinance. Evanston has done a lot to pave the way for a more affordable housing, and tonight you're looking at the project at 2206, which is going to have 20% of the units affordable. So I think it's a good night for affordable housing and encourage you to approve these. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Jeff Smith.
Hello, Mayor, Council people. I just wanted to pass along my support for the sale of the lot, excuse me, I hate public speaking, the lot at 1220 Washington Street to the city of Evanston, from the city of Evanston to the ETHS for the geometry and construction. I hope that you pass this. I think it's a great chance for the 9th Ward, which I'm a member of, to have another low-income house. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That concludes the in-person portion of public comment. We now move to the online comments. You can take it up with the clerk. You can have a sidebar, but we're going to this time go on with the online signups. We'll begin with Steve Test, followed by Jill Shoneman Parker, and then Thomas Doyle.
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, Steve Test, 1135 Hinman Avenue. I'm speaking today in favor of reappointing George Halleck to the Land Use Commission. I realize it's probably a foregone conclusion. However, this morning I was aghast and shocked at the person that you had chosen, Mr. Mayor. She has a huge online footprint that shows she is intolerant of views opposing her opinions. She's all about housing density, blowing up zoning regulations in single-family neighborhoods. A completely inappropriate person to be on, a representative of the people on a commission that's as important as the Land Use Commission. So, Mr. Mayor, if you go on with this appointment, and City Council, if you approve it, it's a big thumb in the eye to thousands of people who live in Evanston, and if not George Halleck, there has to be a number of people who would be way better to be on the Land Use Commission than the person that you announced this morning that you've chosen. I really hope you rethink this position and step back away from the cliff that you're about to jump over. Thanks.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Jill Shoneman Parker, who will be followed by Thomas Doyle and then Kira Kelly.
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, I don't know if you can see me. Okay. Hi, council members. My name is Jill Shoneman Parker, and I live on Washington, directly adjacent to the lot we've been discussing this evening. I've been a proud Evanstonian since 1993. I love living here, and I love my neighbors. My neighbors and myself are clearly aware of the plans for Washington, but we believe that the best use of this space is for a small adopt-a-park type of formation. This should really be turned into a community garden so we can have shared, cultivated, and have it be enjoyed by our entire community, the families, as well as children at Pope John and the 40 children at Lydia Home. The staff at Lydia have been very clear with their goal to increase community volunteering and involvement. We share their belief in that having a definite space, a real tangible green space, would support teaching and treatment and provide the structure that they need to ensure community involvement. As a clinical psychologist and as a parent, both my kids went through the public schools here in Evanston. I know that there's nothing better than engaging in good hands-on projects in nature to help shift one's mood and distract the mind. Connecting with nature and getting messy and learn life lessons about patience, environment, and living with nature are critical for healthy development. We have tremendous commitment from our neighbors. What we need is your approval. We are neighbors connected by possibility, by the chance to create something together that will build a next level of connection and community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Thomas Doyle, who will be followed by Kira Kelly. Mr. Doyle, are you able to unmute? If not, we'll go ahead with Kira Kelly.
Oh, no, unmute. Can you hear me?
Yep, sure can.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, sorry about that. I don't know why I was muted, but I do ask if I could run a few seconds over, and I'm probably the last speaker for our group, and I ask that you do not cut me off. I fully believe that every one of you sincerely cares about our community, and you are deeply committed to equity, access, and enriching the lives of everyone that lives in this town. With that in mind, I ask you to please expand your hearts just a little more. I'm asking you to stretch and stand up on your tippy toes, because just beyond the obvious view of an affordable home, there is something far, far better. Beyond that rise, there is a garden where the children at Lydia are being called to work with their neighbors. This is not a play lot. This is a work lot. In some ways, very much like the geometry and construction program. The kids will build this garden by working with their neighbors, by raising chickens or growing vegetables or planting flowers or just gathering among the lovely trees that already exist. Gardens are not where dreams come true. Gardens are where dreams put down roots. Lydia kids are our kids. We are their brothers. We are their moms and dads. We are their aunts and uncles. We are their grandmas and grandpas. We are their tutors. We are their mentors. If not us, then who? Let us not forget the numbers. Here's the data. Not dollars and cents, but years lived in Evanston. If you have raised a child, you may have had 18 kid years before your child moved on. Every year, a child lives at the Lydia home equals 1 kid year. Last year, there were 40 kid years spent living at the Lydia home. Since my family moved into our home next door in 1991, there have been 1,360 kid years lived at the Lydia home. Over the next 34 years, there will be another 1,360 kid years lived either behind the walls of separation or in the garden of possibilities. This is not selected. If this lot is not selected for ETS house this year,
15 seconds.
There will be another lot. But if this lot is not preserved for the Lydia kids, we will never have this chance again. Our ask is simple. Vote nay to selling this lot to ETHS. Agree to give us nothing more than a sign and a name. The residents on this block want to adopt this child now. Please help us build something that is just a small peek over the horizon. I know you can see it. Please vote with your heart and your head tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Kira Kelly.
Hi. As Jenny Washburn mentioned, 512 people have now signed a petition asking Mayor Biss and really Council to reappoint George Halleck. Over 100 new signers added their names this weekend with the stunning announcement about George Halleck. That's a striking level of public interest for an obscure commission position. And on election night, Mayor Biss, you told us, those of us concerned about Envision Evanston, you said, I hear you and I respect you. Yet here we are showing overwhelming resident concern over what should be a routine reappointment, yet the same criticism remains of you, a pattern of dismissing resident voices and pushing ahead with major decisions without sufficient buy-in. Oftentimes it's happened by breaking protocol, as is happening now. Today, you told the media that a group representing a majority of council members asked you not to reappoint Halleck. I'm wondering how that doesn't violate the Open Meetings Act, and also the whole thing seems strange and frankly out of character for many of the council members we know. Refusing to reappoint a qualified, experienced commissioner is unprecedented and deeply undermines already shaky public trust on this. He's 6 months into reviewing the city's 20-year planning document. He understands the plan, the issues, and most importantly, has heard months of public input, which is supposed to be a key part of the process. And with HDR having been fired for poor work, input from commissioners is even more essential. Meanwhile, as has been mentioned, your proposed appointee has really disparaged people and residents on social media if they have a viewpoint different from her own, even criticizing those who speak at land use commissions. Are we now to believe she'll listen impartially and reflect input of others who disagree with her into the planning documents. It
15
just doesn't
seconds.
seem realistic, and it should be disqualifying. Again, removing Halleck only fuels more skepticism about Envision. We can all agree it's been a pretty tumultuous process, and there's been quite a bit of controversy. Also, previous to the current Mayor Biss, reappointments have been routine, not political. Even
Thank you very much.
reappointed 3 land use commission members in 2023. Now it seems
Thank you very much.
reappointment used to steer zoning reform. We want and deserve really just a process that delivers a strong, comprehensive plan, not maneuvering, not foregone conclusions. Please, let's start on a good note with the new term. Please reappoint George Halleck. Evanston needs his experience and the continuity.
Thank you very much. That concludes public comment for the evening. We now move to the consent. Sorry. Apparently, Paul Breslin.
Hi, I'm Paul Breslin. You've been putting up with me for quite a while, so here I am. I am, again, stunned by the manner in which George Halleck was rejected for reappointment. May I ask a question of fact first? Is it true, Mayor Biss, that when you propose someone that the council votes to affirm your choice, or is it solely your prerogative? When you propose someone for the Land Use Commission, is that the end of the story, or does the city council have to vote to affirm your choice? What is the fact about that? Please answer me. What's the truth about that?
I'll pause the clock. Council members do not respond to public comment. Please continue.
I see. So I'm supposed to sit here and believe that you are acting in a transparent manner when you said, well, certain people whom I'm not going to name came to me representing, whatever that means, the majority of city council, not presumably from your wording, the actual members of city council, but someone representing the majority? I don't know. This is just more of the same stuff I've been complaining about all along. It's painful because I share most of your policy goals. I, too, am a liberal Democrat. I'm wearing an indivisible pin. But you once said that people who argue with you are more worried about your style than your substance. But this is not a stylistic frill.
15 seconds.
It's the lifeblood of a democratic process. And I am weary of watching you cut corners and ram things through. And more people are seeing it. I ask you to take heed and reappoint George Halleck.
Thank you very much. This brings us now to the consent agenda. H1 has already been passed. A16 did not make it out of A&PW. A20 is being removed for potential introduction and action. What are other items besides those 3 that folks would like to see removed?
H2.
H2. Anything else? Yeah, and just for folks who are following planning and development, items PD 1 and 2 were not on the council agenda for this evening. So one of them did make it out of committee, but will be on the council agenda on the 28th. Yeah. All right, if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move the consent agenda minus item H2.
And A16, A20, and H1.
Yeah, all those things.
Second.
Councilmember Reed moves approval of the consent agenda with the exception of the following 4 items: A16, A20, H1, and H2. Councilmember Nusma seconds. Would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Revelle. Aye. Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Councilmember Hedakaris.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris. Aye. Councilmember Nguyen. Aye. Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns is not here. Councilmember Suburban.
Aye.
With 8 voting in favor and none voting against, the consent agenda with the 4 exceptions just named is adopted. Now on item A20, Councilmember Hedakaris, do you want to make a motion relative to the rule suspension?
Sure. I move for the suspension of the rules to allow for introduction and action of ordinance 29025.
Second.
Councilmember Hedakaris moves suspension of Rule 20.1, I believe, so that ordinance 29-0-25 may be introduced and adopted in one evening. Councilmember Nusma seconds. Would the clerk please take the roll on the motion to suspend the rules?
Point of order. Didn't we vote to introduce this at the last meeting?
No, there's 2 ordinances. The one that we voted to introduce was not removed from the consent agenda. That was item A21. The clerk please take the roll on the motion to suspend the rules.
Councilmember Revelle. Aye. Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Councilmember Hedakaris.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris. Aye. Councilmember Nguyen. Aye. Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns is not here. Councilmember Suburban.
Aye.
With 8 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries and Rule 20.1 is suspended. Now, in light of that, Councilmember Nusma, do you have a motion on Ordinance 29-0-25?
Mr. Mayor, I move for introduction and action this evening, Ordinance 29-025, authorizing the city manager to execute a sale contract for city-owned real property located at 1222 Washington Street to Evanston Township High School.
I'll second.
Councilmember Nusma moves adoption of Ordinance 29-0-25 in one evening pursuant to the rule suspension. Councilmember Hedakaris seconds. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Hedakaris.
Yeah, I just want to address a couple things that were said tonight. First of all, for the slim possibility that my wife Danielle is watching, I have no plans on leaving Evanston anytime soon. I think what I'd said was I don't know where I'm going to be in 20 years, which I really do not know where I'm going to be, but hopefully here. So I just want to say a few things. I want to start off by saying that geometry and construction program is probably one of the best things we do here as a community. It's one of the most cost-effective ways that the city fosters home ownership. A little over 3 years ago, the Land Use Commission ruled 7-2 to allow the Washington lot to be split and for this to come to existence. So a home being on this lot has been a fairly long time coming. I met again last week with the neighbors to hear concerns, and what I was told was that the street is under stress due to the pressures of being near St. Nick's, St. John, Pope John School, Lydia Home, and being sandwiched between Ridge and Asbury. I don't believe that adding a single family home at the end of the block will substantially add to that stress. As a council, we need to take into account the whole city, and I represent the whole 9th Ward, not just one block. Our city needs more affordable housing, and this house, while small, is bigger than just this moment. In 50 years, myself and these neighbors who are wanting to stop this from happening will likely be gone, but that house will still be there and will still be affordable for whoever lives there. One of the hardest parts of this job is how to handle disagreement. A lot of times the easiest course of action is just to maintain the status quo. And so this is a thing that's really tempting when we consider our decisions that we have to make around how to use what limited land we have. Zoning, it's a big topic right now. It's an important tool to stop bad and inappropriate things from happening. I think we all could agree that we don't want to live next to a garbage dump, but zoning and the related approval process like we've seen here tonight shouldn't be really used as a weapon to stop good things from happening. And putting off things is just one way to make sure it never gets done. Father Time is undefeated. I'm constantly reminded of this when I drive by Church and Darrow and I see the Mount Pisgah development where it should be, and it hasn't started. So I'm glad that we took action, but this is just a good example of how we're kind of behind when we look at our housing crisis and why we have such a deep hole to dig out of.
Councilmember Reed, followed by Burns, followed by Nusma.
Thank you. I'm going to be supporting this. It feels so disingenuous to me when I hear arguments that, we want to protect the Lydia home folks and we want to create this community space. I guess I am calling into question the genuineness of it, because what's stopping you from doing that now with the invite them into your backyard? This is one of the things that I'm speaking. This is one of the things that frustrates me about Evanston, about this NIMBY culture that can be pervasive here. We use vulnerable folks to try to make arguments for the things that we want to see. Why weren't you all sitting here for hours during council meetings to make these arguments before an affordable housing project was coming onto your block? I don't think anyone up on this dais should be confused by what's really going on here. And I hope that we as a community do better. And if we really have these feelings about wanting to protect vulnerable people in our community, let's start doing it before there's an affordable housing project that is proposed for a site. Thank you.
Councilmember Burns, followed. We need order in the chamber. Councilmember Burns, followed by Nusma, followed by Harris.
I don't know the kind of intent behind the opposition to this project this evening. I think it is a reasonable proposal considering that Lydia Homes is here. That being said, I think it's just a matter of priority, right? And as Councilmember Hedekata said, that represents a full ward and also represents issues citywide. He has to weigh this proposal, which I think is reasonable and appropriate considering that Lydia Homes is there. He has to kind of weigh what is a priority, both for himself but also as council. What I could tell you is that not only this council, but previous councils have all made affordable housing a top priority for this city, for good reason, I think. And you'll hear more about it through Envision Evanston. I don't think new parks has been a top priority for us. And you may not want to hear that, I'm just being honest, that if you just as a matter of fact, if you look back at the previous councils, they have not made creating additional parks a top priority for the city. And again, that's and I'm glad you said that, because I think that's an existing park. I think Trahan Park, because I was going to go there, so thank you, is a better option, right, for what we're trying to do here, because to my understanding, Trahan Park was about a block or two away. There's really nothing there that I was able to see through the maps. It's open land. There's no park equipment there. It's city owned. There could be what I've heard today could happen there as well. And
Councilmember, just hold on. I need to have order in the chamber. Councilmember Burns has the floor. Go ahead, Councilmember.
And so the thing I really just want to get across, because this happened with me with Church and Darrow, affordable housing development. Many of the neighbors came out against it. All homeowners, the renters just need housing, right? Like they're like, wherever I can get it. It's always homeowners every single time. Do with that as you will, but it's never the renters because they need the housing. But there's this sense that in a representative democracy that, especially when people are passionate about an issue, and I'm not necessarily saying this is how you feel, but it's how certainly people have made me feel, as if I am your pawn. And if there's a group of people that say they want something, I am to do your will or else. And I've made this very clear in my ward. I will not be intimidated by that. And that's not, to me, what representative democracy looks like. Now, again, there are many occasions where I'm perfectly aligned with the people in my ward around an issue. Great. But there are some times when representing them may look different than what they want. I'll use Church and Darrow as an example. All the homeowners who came out were against it. They didn't want the project at all. I couldn't support that because I believe affordable housing is incredibly important in this community. And And if we're not careful, the diversity that we always talk about, right, is we're going to lose it. We're losing it already. Literally, it's happening and it's been happening. And although I didn't, oppose the project, what I did do is we went down a level, right? Went to 44 units to 33 units. There was a live-in maintenance person initially. So we went from that to also making sure that there was a property manager that was going to office out of that space. There were some concerns about congestion. There's always concerns about congestion. You got to understand, for us up here, like, we can, without even looking at what your concerns were, I could say what they are because it's the same concerns every single time there's an affordable housing development project being proposed. And but we addressed it. I tried to address that through, I knew there was an upcoming Mason Park expansion project that was being discussed. And in addition to park improvements, we were also going to be discussing the Church and Dodge intersection to try to ease up some of the traffic congestion issues that happen after school and before school. To me, that's what representative democracy looks like in that context. All of them may not feel like it because I didn't do exactly what they wanted me to do word for word, but I still tried to listen to them and come up with a project that I felt met enough of their, that tried to address the concerns that I was hearing from them. And so similar here, I had a conversation with Councilmember Hedekadis and another neighbor. And again, if this was my ward, some of the things I'd be talking about is, hey, what about Trahan Park, right? And I discussed it with the Councilmember Hedekadis. Another thing is, it seems like even within Lydia, there's some space to do gardening. What about that being the location where some of this happens, even if it needs to be potentially built out? Again, even if it needs to be built out. So, okay.
We need to have order.
And this is the closing thing I say. So it's just understand that the job up here is balancing all these different interests. And I can tell you from my own experience
15 seconds.
That I do not think that the majority of the community wants us to do exactly what a special interest, right, group of neighbors want us to do word for word on every issue. I don't think that's the expectation. And so I hope you'll continue to be patient with your council member and trying to partner with him to try to help him with that balancing that he needs to do up here. And hopefully some type of compromise or other solution can be developed through that partnership. So thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Councilmember Nusma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am going to kind of echo what we've heard already. I intend to support this project. Affordable housing has been a priority of this council since we declared priorities. We do need more investment in parks. And somebody mentioned Gray Park, which is actually closer to the Lydia home. So I will invite neighbors on Washington to participate in the discussion going on about what we are going to do on Gray Park. I'll make sure Councilmember Hedekadis is able to pass along the meeting dates for those community meetings. And if we can do something in Gray Park that would accommodate the needs of the students at the Lydia home, I think that would be great. I really do appreciate the concern, and I'll take it as genuine, that you're expressing for the students of the Lydia home. And that does present the kind of warm and welcoming community that I like to think we live in, and that I like to think many of my colleagues and most of Evanston wants to live in. I would like to see that warm and welcoming attitude extended to the folks that are going to move into this house. This house is on a lot that's about the same size as my house, about the same size as my lot. I park on the street. I don't have a garage. What we're talking about putting here is not a stadium with concerts. It's not a high rise. It's not a homeless shelter. It's a house. It's a house that is going to house a family for years and years and years. And I would like them to be welcomed to the community. So I want everyone here who's advocating against this not to leave this meeting feeling like you haven't been heard. Because we have heard you, but as Councilmember Burns has put it, Our job is to balance the needs of the entire community against folks who might feel differently. And it's a tough call when we have to do something that disappoints folks who are well-intended and well-intentioned and have some legitimate concerns. But I do want to say for Ms. Elward, Mr. Cirillo, Ms. Miller, the Doyle sisters, Ms. Cerny, Mr. Doyle, we've heard you. I don't think the vote is going to go the way you want. And that is what happens in democracy sometimes.
Councilmember Revelle.
All of the poor people on the block I grew up on were forced to stay behind a 9-foot fence. That is Evanston. But they came in the that is Evanston. And they're still being forced.
I'd like to have order in the chamber. Councilmember Revelle.
Also, residents have pointed to the most recent geometry and construction house that's was put in place in September, and it still looks like kind of a construction site. So I'm wondering, is there a budget for the landscaping that's going to happen around this house? How do we finish these geometry and construction projects?
So can I jump in a little bit? At least the house on McDaniel has been put up for Love Your Block. We have not done the assessment yet to know if that will win the Love Your Block grant, but that is one of the things that has been put up for that area. That area was desolate for a number of years. So there is work to be done, and I'm not sure why it hasn't been completed, but 300% better than what it is, and it still needs some work, but it's in my ward. I'm good with it. And there was actually another house on Dodge that also applied for the Love Your Block.
Director Flax, do you want to respond to the question as well?
I'm just able to respond to the, will there be landscaping? Yes, there will be landscaping done. The high school and community partners for affordable housing work to landscape all the homes once they're completed. So the one on McDaniel hasn't been landscaped because, of course, it's not done yet. But if you go and look at all the houses, they all have landscaping. And in many cases, SEPA and the high school have even gotten community members there to help do a bunch of the work to really help do the landscaping, but also sort of to welcome this as a new house, affordable house in their neighborhood. So yes, there will be landscaping.
So Councilmember Harris, you had a light on it. Did you address what you were going to, or do you want? Okay. So in that case, with no one asking to speak for a first, Councilmember Kelly.
So I did respond. The residents asked each council member if we'd come and visit the area, so I did. And, I do think we have to duly note that this block does have a lot of institutions on it. And we have St. Nick's Church, Pope John Paul School, and then the Lydia Home. So, you have to assess everything in the context that it's in and not just affordable housing. We're all for affordable housing. Nobody should be called against it for questioning or trying to figure out the most appropriate location. I do love the idea of having, the first ward, many people don't realize, after the fifth ward has the highest number of low-income housing, subsidized housing. And for the housing in my ward, I've fought and will continue to fight so that there are spaces around it for interfacing with community so it's not isolated. So, yes, I agree. It would be nice if this had been asked for, we had figured out a way, or residents were able to buy that property for that purpose of having that third space, for having a community space. But I'm a little bit concerned too. This letter that we were given where it says we learned of this project 2 weeks ago. That's not? No, that's 2 months ago. Okay. Then this must be, I didn't think so because I know it's come to us before, but it's in here. Maybe it meant 2 months. So this is a difficult decision. In terms of looking at that block, and of course, affordable housing, we want it, but we want to do it appropriately and respect our communities and create neighborliness. So anyway, I just want to put that out there, that this is a block that's a little bit different from most blocks in that it is heavily loaded with institutions on one single strip. So I understand the neighbors' concerns. And I understand wanting to I also understand it would be lovely to have a space there where everybody can interface and get to know each other.
Point of information, just for my own edification. What is this? And I hear people in the audience, yesing and cheering to what you're saying. What the hell does the number of institutions on the block have to do with the affordable housing?
I don't think that's a point of information. Why don't we continue in the...
Just congestion.
No, so you're in line.
I'm sorry, but congestion. It's just...
All right, so I just want to, I think we're not doing a great job of maintaining order here, but we're going to, so I'm going to be the mayor, actually, and try to maintain an orderly conversation here. So at this time, no one is asking to speak for a first time. So we go back to Councilmember Hedekaris, who has about 2 minutes left.
So to address Councilmember Revelle's question around the landscaping, one of the concerns was around tree canopy coverage, a lack of green space. I know that the residents met with Charles Smith and Jerry Garl to look at the lot, and Charles offered to, when we put Geometry and Construction home, help do landscaping. And Leslie Shad from Natural Habitat Evanston also is like, we'll donate, native, trees. And so, one of the things as we're, there's a Google document with places to put, concerns about the project. There are good things, I think, coming out of this that, Charles had mentioned, integrating this with the program going forward so that we, are good stewards of the environment. And so I think, I'm still going to be addressing concerns. And so, trying to make this the least intrusive and the, smoothest, process possible. But that will be some of the things that came out of the community discussion so far.
Still no one is asking to speak for the first time. So we go back to Councilmember Reed, who also has 2 minutes left.
Sure. If we want to take down safety measures that keep teenagers and kids with, from what I understand about Liddy House, who have learning disabilities and other disabilities, if we want to take down a safety measure, I guess that's something the community could push for by eliminating the wall, but it seems like that might be a necessary thing. But the thing that I did hear and just saw a lot of folks responding to was this concern about, and I even heard it from the public commenters, the number of institutions on the block and adding affordable housing to that block. So what are we really saying? What are we saying? Are we saying that people who are going to occupy affordable housing there's something wrong with them? And that by adding affordable housing to the block, we're adding something bad to the block? Because then what the hell, and maybe my colleague can help me understand this, what does the number of institutions on the block have to do with affordable housing?
Okay, since you asked me, it's about density, and it's about understanding how nice it would be to have a green space there, period. Please don't take things and twist them. I made no mention of that whatsoever. I talked about the congestion on the block and understanding. And I think we all owe it. These are our residents to understand and be sensitive to what their concerns are. I don't know if anybody from that actual block came out and spoke in favor of adding a house to that park. I mean, I know some people spoke who live nearby. So like I said, this is difficult. I hear them. I understand that additional green space would be nice. That's what they're asking for. They're not asking not to have low-income housing. They're asking for green space. And I didn't, like I said, I haven't said how I'm going to vote on this, but I think we should all be able to be sensitive to their concerns on this block. Institutions, whether it's schools, churches, all those add a lot of traffic. Don't you get that?
Okay.
On one block?
Sure,
I mean, do you not?
I guess
so, I think that's why having a little bit of open space is...
Yes. You want the floor back?
Yeah, I'll take the floor back. I guess that's not what I was hearing, and that's seems like an interesting way to approach this, because someone wanted to build a non-affordable housing unit, single-family home. They could do that by right. Is that correct? That is correct, and I don't know if we'd be here in this manner. But with that, I will close, and I encourage my colleagues, which it seems like we're going to do, to vote yes on this. And I hope we continue to send positive notes to the young folks at ETHS who are helping us solve this affordable housing crisis, one house at a time every year. Thank you.
Still no one is asking to speak for the first time, so we go back to Councilmember Harris with 4 minutes and 45 seconds left.
Oh, this is my first time. I was just answering his question. Thank you. So I think I did my light 3 times. I didn't want to speak. I wanted to speak. Didn't want to speak. We hear you. We totally hear you. But I also heard day one when you said my house is $700,000 and I don't want ETH. It was said. Watch the. I'm not asking. I'm not asking. Thank you. It's on tape, so find it. But you said it, and it disturbed me that a resident said that they didn't want a low-income house.
No, that's not what I said.
That's not true.
No, she said it with glasses.
I did not say it that way.
Oh, you didn't say it that way. Please sit down. Please sit down. I'm not gonna stop talking to hear you talk. I'm not going to.
I'd like everyone to stop talking for a second. I'd like to have order in the chamber. Councilmember Harris has the floor, and I guess I would ask that we all address each other respectfully and productively so that we can resume, complete this discussion, and move to a vote in an orderly fashion.
Yeah.
Councilmember Harris.
Thank you. So, again, I remember the conversation because I became upset talking about students and their work. And it was a mention of my house is going to lose value because of this home. So, however you want to characterize it, if I mischaracterize it, again, we can both watch it. That bothers me. And I understand your density problem. I understand the desire to have this garden. I don't know where the wall's going to go. You're going to have a garden, the big wall that you showed us, the metal wall in the pictures, in their wall in the pictures?
Yes.
You're shaking your head no.
That already exists.
Huh?
That already exists.
Exactly. That's my point. So you still have to get through it to get to the garden. That's the problem. That's what you still have that there. You're saying that's the barrier. The garden does not get rid of that barrier, correct? Okay, so I hear you. We hear you. I think we all have compassion, but compassion does not always mean we have to sacrifice everyone else. And the lady mentioned that the poor were locked in. We're building a home to allow them to be on that street. Maybe a student from Lydia House from 10 years ago can buy that house because it's at a cheaper price and it stays in perpetuity at that price. So I get it. Trust me, I lived around the corner. I still do live around the corner from the Howe building. And we had questions about that. We were up in arms. And then I had to look in the mirror and say, well, what's my problem? And the first thing my mom said to me is, Chrissy, these people now know that the community was against this project. I expect you, as the decent human being that I raised you to be, to go around that corner and treat those people nice and welcome them. And that's really what I'm hoping will happen now, because it looks like it's going to happen. I understand that you're upset, and I'm really sorry that you are. But when a new family gets there, I hope we treat them with respect and don't undignify them because they couldn't afford a $700,000 home, but that they could afford that one.
I couldn't afford a $750,000 home either.
Okay. Well, I'm going to watch it tonight, and I'm going to email you what you said. Yeah, so I am in favor of this, and I am looking forward to the vote. Thank you.
At this time, no one is asking to speak who's not spoken, nor is anyone asking to speak whose time is not expired. So, Councilmember Burns, if you could just take 10 seconds or less.
I just wanted to say I do hope, and I talked to Councilmember Hedekatis about this, that a curb cut is considered. I think because I don't think there's the ability for a garage here. I think a curb cut really does make sense. I know there's another neighbor saying they don't want that, but again, at some point, you just continue to do what you feel is best, and I think that one of those things should be a curb cut for the site. All right.
All right, would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Revelle.
Aye.
Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Councilmember Hadakaris.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris. Aye. Councilmember Wynn. Aye. Councilmember Newsma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
Councilmember Sufferton.
No.
With 8 voting in favor and 1 voting against, the motion carries and ordinance 29-0-25 is passed. And again, owing to the suspension of the rules, the introduction and action were both effectuated this evening. This brings us to item A2 to someone, H2, I'm sorry, does someone have a motion on item H2?
Mr. Mayor, I will move item H2, which is ordinance 33-025, amending a bunch of city code to prohibit discrimination based on personal appearance and language.
Second.
Councilmember Newsma moves introduction of ordinance 33-0-25. Councilmember Reed seconds. No, sorry, Councilmember Hadakaris seconds. Yeah. Councilmember Hadakaris followed by Reed.
So this is kind of a 2-for-1 ordinance. We had 2 referrals, one on personal appearance and the other one on adding language as a human right. That was my referral in working with Commissioner Justina Merida in her language access group. We had she had mentioned that Cook County had recently updated their human rights ordinance to include language, and they also recently declared April Language Access Month. So that's where that part of the ordinance comes. Really happy to have this in front of us. I think there's been some really good work being done by staff about addressing language access. I know City Manager Stowe and staff are working on getting I Speak badges for staff as we open up the new building. And I think it's an important step, and it's something we have to work on to make sure that all our residents have full access to all our services and programs. Thank you.
Councilmember Reed.
Thank you. I want to start by saying I fully support the language access portion of this. I think it's unfortunate that these two were coupled together in this manner, because I have some concerns about this ordinance. I want to begin, by affirming a core value that I know we all share. And I say this as the most gravitationally challenged member of the council. Every Evanstonian deserves to live with dignity, free from cruelty, harassment, or arbitrary exclusion. No one should be shamed, bullied, or denied basic opportunities based on how they look or what they weigh. But that said, I'd like to raise some legal and philosophical concerns about the proposed ordinance to ban weight discrimination. And I say this as a Black man, as a gay man. Historically, anti-discrimination laws have been grounded in the idea that certain traits like race, gender, sexual orientation are immutable and involuntary, and have been used to justify deep systemic oppression. These laws exist because people were denied housing, jobs, and even legal personhood based on characteristics they could not change and had no bearing on their ability to contribute to society. Weight, by contrast, exists in a far more complicated space, medically, socially, and legally. While genetics, environment, and socioeconomics all play a role, weight is also widely perceived, fairly or not, at least partially influenced by personal behavior. And if we want to get into like a Robert Sapolsky-esque, whether or not people have free will, we'd have to change a whole bunch of laws if we're going to go that far. But that doesn't justify, and of course that doesn't justify discrimination, but it does complicate the argument for treating weight as legally equivalent to race or gender under our civil rights framework. From a legal standpoint, courts have been very cautious in extending protected class status beyond traditional categories like race, sex, national origin, and religion. These are traits that meet strict legal standards for what we call suspect classification. That is, characteristics that are immutable or nearly so, have been historically targeted for discrimination, are unrelated to ability or merit, and represent groups that have lacked political power or recourse. Weight does not consistently meet these tests. And as we expand protected classes to include mutable or behaviorally influenced traits, we risk blurring the lines between identity and lifestyle, between inborn characteristics and subjective life outcomes. That brings up a broader concern. When we treat everything that is difficult or sensitive as grounds for legal protection, we may unintentionally weaken the very foundation of civil rights laws. We risk trivializing the profound struggles that led to protections for race, gender, and sexuality. And in doing so, we may invite skepticism from courts or from the public that could undermine the legitimacy of the entire anti-discrimination framework. I raise these concerns not to deny that weight bias exists. If we could change this for dating, maybe I'd get behind it, but it does. Or argue against fairness. And I'm not saying this to argue against fairness or compassion. Rather, I'm asking us to consider, is this the right tool? Is this the right legal threshold? Are we anchoring our policy in the same moral and legal clarity that has guided civil rights protections for the most vulnerable? If our goal is to reduce weight stigma and to promote inclusion, we can and should pursue education, workplace training, healthcare, equity, cultural change. But we must be cautious when using the force of law to elevate characteristics to protected class status, particularly when doing so may create legal ambiguity or erode hard-fought civil rights. So with that, I'll just ask, who made this weight discrimination referral?
So I did not. It was submitted with my name, but I don't know who actually submitted it. Right? It was somebody else. Was it staff? I thought you found out who it was.
Good evening, everyone. Allison Leipziger, Policy Manager. Yes, a non-city staff person got a hold of the link, and was instructed to fill it out. I will be changing the link for the new council, so we'll have a new link, so that can't happen again.
So, thank you. So then, point of order, I support the language access. I think we need to have this. I think it's really important. But if there wasn't a council member or 3 council members who made this referral, it's similar to when a council member will say, can you please fill this out for me, like to staff, and here are my 2 co-sponsors or co-referrers. Got a little muddled this time. It was Councilmember Harris and Councilmember Revelle. That's
correct.
2.
And Councilmember Kelly has been working on it. But
well, we had conversations, but I think you put it in me as lead sponsor. I just find it a little startling that this showed up. I'm not saying I'm against it entirely. I do think there's some good points that Councilmember Reed's raising. But I do think there's something askew here.
100%.
Right. So yeah. I feel like it should be pulled off and resubmitted formally by council members.
That would be fine with me. I mean, yeah.
With that in mind, I would like to vote on the language access portion of that. I think that did have a proper referral. Councilmember Hedikotis is the lead sponsor, along with co-refers. The other item seems to be in this weird space. It slipped through committee. But I think,
well, I want to be clear, it didn't slip through committee.
Well, I don't think committee was aware that there was this
confusion about the referral.
Yeah. So I think that part slipped through committee. So I don't think that is appropriately before us, especially when Councilmember Kelly is saying, hey, I'm not the lead sponsor and I had conversations, but maybe didn't officially sign on yet as a co-sponsor, or certainly not the lead sponsor. And so I think with that alone, that part of the ordinance should have to be resubmitted. And in fact, I would encourage the body not to take it up for the reasons that I listed, because I think it is an insult to the hard-fought rights that my ancestors, whether they be Black or LGBTQ, have fought in this country. And I think when we start adding these immutable characteristics, or when we start adding these mutable characteristics, it really denigrates the argument for the fundamental civil rights that we fought so hard for. Thank you.
So there's a bunch of people lined up to speak, but are you making an amendment here?
Yes. Well, no,
I can speak.
I'm not. Or I don't know what I'm doing.
I can
yet.
speak to that. I will send the original ordinance just for the language access to everyone so that we all have it via email.
And you'll be moving to amend what's before us to replace it with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then I make that motion, I guess, with Councilmember Hedekadis sending the information for me.
Okay, so Councilmember Hedekadis will do that. While I was doing it, I'll just say, Councilmember Kelly, I was very troubled to learn that a referral was made in your name without your explicit consent. And I don't know, Luke, how high a hurdle it is to clear to set up a password protected system where each council member identifies themselves, but I think it's totally unacceptable for an elected official to be represented as though they've made a policy proposal they didn't necessarily fully sign off on. I once somebody just in totally good faith made a referral with clicking on me instead of themselves, and I was really upset. So I think if we can set up, Luke, is it feasible for the next council to set up a system where these good faith mistakes can't happen?
Thank you, Mark. Yes, it is, and I apologize for the error.
So who made it? I mean, I think we all have a right to know who made the referral, because when I looked at the writing in the referral, I didn't write anything. I always write my own referrals. So who did make the referral?
So can I'd like to chime in. So this referral came to me, so to get point of clarification, to be really clear. So this referral came to me through you and the student. We met with Councilmember Revelle. I sent the link to the student not knowing that we couldn't do that and said, fill it out. We went through at least 4 discussions. Well, no, 1 or 2, Councilmember Revelle, and it was like, you created it. No, it wasn't going anywhere. And so I gave her the link to say, fill this out so we can get moving. So I wasn't setting anybody up, but that is what I did. So I take ownership for that.
I'm not accusing them of everything. I'm just saying it's a situation no one wants to be in. That's all.
Yeah, no, but I want to own my own mistake. I don't just get on people. I own my own stuff. So that's how that happened.
Thank you for clarifying.
So we can go back. We can go back through the trails of where it started, but that is how that happened.
Right.
So that was on me. Sorry.
Well, and when the issues came to Human Services, they were separate. Right. And then
staff asked, because it's the exact same language.
Right.
It's the exact same ordinances are being modified for both.
Mm-hmm.
To streamline things. They asked us to combine them. So.
Yeah. And my expectation with the second one was that we would have discussion and understand. I mean, the language one is very straightforward, yeah. and I guess I had expected that we'd have some discussion about what was involved and the rationale for the second one, but.
Sorry.
Yeah, Councilmember Reed, go ahead.
I move that we decouple the ordinances and that we just vote tonight on the language access portion of the ordinance.
Second.
And Councilmember Hedekadis, is the language on the way?
Yes,
Yes, I sent it once and the formatting's horrible, so I'm sending the original PDF of the language access only ordinance right now.
Who are you sending it to?
At City Council email.
City Council, because it's spelled wrong there.
Is it spelled wrong?
It hasn't arrived yet over here.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, can you be CC or CC the clerk?
Yeah. That's why. You all should have it now.
Aha.
Yes.
Councilmember Reed moves to amend ordinance 33-0-25 with the language in the packet he just emailed all of City Council, which essentially retains all the language access provisions and none of the personal appearance discrimination provisions. Councilmember Revelle seconds. Would the clerk please take the roll on the motion to amend?
Councilmember Revelle. Councilmember. Councilmember Hadakaris.
Reed,
Sorry,
yes. Aye.
Reed. Councilmember Hadakaris.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Aye. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Wynn. Aye. Councilmember Newsma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
Councilmember Sufferton.
Aye.
With 9 voting in favor, none voting against, the motion carries. Ordinance 33-0-25 is amended. Is there any further discussion before we take a final introduction vote on the amended ordinance? Seeing none, would the clerk please take the roll? This is now on a motion to introduce ordinance 33-0-25 as just amended.
As only a language access ordinance.
Right.
Councilmember Revelle.
Aye.
Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Councilmember Hadakaris.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Wynn. Aye. Councilmember Newsma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
Councilmember Sufferton.
With 9 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries, and ordinance 33-0-25 as amended is introduced and will be back on the April 28th City Council agenda. This brings us to call of the wards. Councilmember Revelle.
Well, just to follow up on our honorary street name discussion, we will be celebrating that street name designation May 31st, 2 p.m. in the 2600 block of Simpson. There'll be more information to come. Hope everybody will join us.
Councilmember Reed.
I'll certainly have something to say at our next meeting, which is our final meeting. But as we begin to wrap this term as our final full meeting of this body, it really has been the honor of my life thus far to work alongside of all of you up here. And I'm going to miss it, but it's truly been a great learning opportunity. And I, as the, I guess, the youngest member of the body now, you know, got some time to do other things, but I really look forward to watching you all over the next 4 years.
Councilmember Hadakaris.
Ward meeting next Monday at the Prieto Center. We will be hearing from Parks and Rec staff about exciting opportunities for programming this summer through Parks and Rec, and we'll also have a presentation from Metro Squash about programs and opportunities for kids in the neighborhood.
Councilmember Kelly.
No report.
Councilmember Harris.
So I just wanted to take this opportunity. I know we have one more meeting, but to say thank you for the 3 council members that will not be back. I don't know if you're lucky, if that's a good thing or not. Devon, meet me halfway. And then take this, I don't know, who cares what they got. So, I didn't know if you wanted flowers, Devon, so I got something's in that card. Don't throw the card away. Okay. My mom said look for a plant. I couldn't find a plant. So I just wanted to say thank you all so much for all of the wisdom, all of the compassion. You all have been really the biggest heart on the council, and I appreciate that as being the newest member to the council. I am still going to call you and ask for advice and your input because I think it's invaluable. And I just want to say thank you all so much. Thank you.
Councilmember Nguyen.
No report.
Councilmember Nusma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I mentioned this before, but the Gray Park Dog Park is under discussion. Next up is a discussion at the Parks and Rec Board meeting on April 17th. There's also a neighborhood meeting on May 7th. So look at the city calendar for those details. Looking ahead to the May 4th Ward meeting is going to be Tuesday, May 6th at Robert Crown. May office hours will be Saturday, May 10th, 10 a.m. to noon at Reprise Roasters on Main Street. If all goes well, we will have some snacks from Button Bakery, which will be opening very shortly on Main Street.
Councilmember Burns.
No report.
Councilmember Sufferton. Councilmember Nusma is recognized to make a motion.
Mr. Mayor, pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes 120/2C, I move that the City Council convene into executive session to discuss agenda items regarding litigation and personnel. These agenda items are permitted subjects to be considered in executive session and are enumerated exceptions under the Open Meetings Act as enumerated in 5 ILCS 120/2C1 and 11.
Second.
Councilmember Newsom moves that the City Council resolve itself into an executive session to discuss the items just read. Councilmember Nguyen second. Seeing the discussion, would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Revelle.
Aye.
Councilmember Reed. Councilmember Heracles.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Nguyen. Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns is not here. Councilmember Sufferton.
With 8 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries. And at 9:31 p.m., the City Council resolves itself into an executive session to begin immediately in the Joan Barr Council Library.